Independent, locally owned New Orleans bookstore, Octavia Books, offers author events, book signings, and hand-picked titles for all ages. OctaviaBooks.com.
Criollo Restaurant offers a culinary adventure prepared by a tiny animated French chef. A 5-course dinner experience comes to life at each place setting using projection mapping. Located in the historic Hotel Monteleone. Learn more at criollonola.com.
This program is supported in part by a community arts grant made possible by the City of New Orleans as administered by Arts New Orleans.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
Support for this program comes from the Gail and Tom Benson Charitable Foundation, committed to funding educational causes.
Steppin Out is made possible in part by Susie and Pierre G. Villery.
From jazz to jambalaya, theater to galleries.
Steppin Out brings you the best of our local arts and culture scene each week.
Let's step up and step out. Together, keeping WYES strong.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Poppy Tooker, host of Louisiana Eats and WWNO Radio. Hey, Miss Poppy.
Hey.
Hello. And longtime New Orleans artist and musician George Schmidt, here to show a few selections from his classic Carnival History series and new work. Hello, welcome, George.
Well, thanks
Great
for
to
having
see
me.
you, kiddo. And Alan Smason, editor of the Crescent City Jewish News and TheaterCriticism.com. Howdy.
Hey.
And I also have a new Carnival close-up video concerning vintage Mardi Gras favors. And thanks to some dear friends, I'm actually wearing the new Millon Fagé Houseflow Blooms Party wrap. Okay, more on that later. Okay, Poppy, I understand you have some parade route advice.
Well, you know, I'm all wrapped up. I don't know if you noticed, but it's going to be cold
Yeah.
this weekend, worse than last. And so I have some ideas for where you can tuck in, make reservations, have a lovely time if it's too cold, but the parade's going by. And the first is the wine bar at Emerald's. Now, you know, the tasting menu at Emerald's is $225, and the wine pairings can add up to $800 to that.
Ooh.
So that's not necessarily for everyone, but the wine bar is for everyone. And that is right on the downtown parade route at Julia, right behind Emerald's. And the food is beautiful. There's seasonal salads. There's foie gras torchon. They even have French onion dip with zaps, and you can add caviar onto that.
love that.
There's pasta dishes like a creamy tortellini and a rigatoni bolognese. But let me tell you, the duck fried rice was my favorite. There's always fish on the menu. We had a lovely piece of trout. It was a fabulous time. The wine service is so lovely, wines by the glass there. It's really a lovely experience, and Crew de Vue will pass right by on Saturday night, and a lot of other parades go there too. Now, on St. Charles Avenue, you know, Tito's Ceviche and Pisco moved from their first location on Magazine Street, which was very small. Now they're on the corner of Melpomene and St. Charles. And their food it's a great spot. You'll see their decorations. It's like Mardi Gras in there every day. These are really wonderful, hardworking people. And you know, Peruvian food that had a big influence from Japan. So you're going to see pristine, raw fish dishes like their Lima-style ceviche, which has fish and shrimp and octopus with sweet potato and Peruvian corn. The tuna crudo tostones, beautiful. Now, I know this is kind of far out, but I love it. The veal heart skewers. But you can also get chicken and steak skewers too, but you don't see veal heart on a menu much. The arroz con marisco is like a Peruvian paella. They also have lamb shanks, they have whole fried fish, but they also, on Saturdays and Sundays from 10 till 3, they have brunch. Like picarones, that's squash and sweet potato donuts. They have chicken and waffles, steak and eggs, shrimp and grits. They serve a lomo saltado with grits, which is basically like Peruvian griots. And there's bottomless Bloody Marys and mimosas. Now, I wanted to let everybody know, of course, that's right on that St. Charles Avenue route. They're going to be having Mardi Gras grab and go, ceviches, tiraditos, salchipapas, which is French fries with sliced hot dogs, and a house special sauce. These people are open 7 days a week, serving from 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. most days, and on weekends, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., and 9 on Sundays. It's delicious. It's fresh. It's beautiful. Put it on your parade watching route. And there's a new venture that's happening for Mark Ladder and Ladder Hospitality, the Hotel Pearl, which is the corner of St. Charles and Julia. And before they really get rolling down there, they're going to have grandstands, a VIP terrace, and open bar possibilities for all the parade days. And you'll find the information at hotelpearl.com. A new spot for Mardi Gras.
Just as the holiday is ever changing, what I would do because of the weather and traffic and construction, I would double check the Coup de Vue route. Okay, because it may be changing. So I would, before you go out there, I would double check Coup de Vue's right beforehand. But these are all great suggestions. Thank you. Looking forward to that. And Hotel Pearl, who knew?
Isn't that exciting news?
Love that. George, speaking of Julia Street, Mr. Julia Street, how long have you had a gallery, all told?
I was down there originally. I had a studio in Jack Stewart's garage, you know, that old firehouse, and he made me a deal, and I put my studio up in the attic. He put in skylights and the whole works. You can still see him there. And so I was down there when it was still Skid Row.
Wow, so that's like the 70s, huh?
Oh, yeah,
the 70s.
yeah, the
Hard
70s.
to believe.
And,
well, you're at 612. You were at 626, but you're at 612.
Yeah, 612 Julia Street.
There you are, beautiful. And Julia Row, those historic houses.
That's it, right there. With that lovely palmetto in the front.
I love that. Stuck in the middle of the cement, right?
Exactly.
As we say, right? And then the interior of your gallery is chock full of opportunities, right?
Yeah, I have too many. I have too many paintings and too few walls.
Got that.
But I figured I'm doing it myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just put it out.
Well, we remember with such fondness, and of course it's still there, that in 1983 or 84, the Intercontinental Hotel in Pete's Pub commissioned you to do a series of Carnival History paintings.
Yeah, it circles a room.
Yeah, and it's still there, and that, of course, is on St. Charles, the Intercontinental. We'll show you an interior of that. But the series, it was, how many are in the series of these paintings?
Right.
It seems like it was at 7?
4, 5, 6.
Okay,
And there's a 7th.
Yeah, 7.
They hired me. They said, what would you do for the bar? I said, how about a history of Mardi Gras? You know, illustrating events and stuff. And it was interesting because I started the work and preparatory drawings and stuff. And then they said, we need another picture. Oh, really? I said, yeah, but a smaller one. And I said, well, what could I do? I said, yeah, August Perez meeting Charlton Heston at the airport.
Well, we're going to show that in just a minute. But first, just in terms of chronology,
the King of Bacchus.
we've got the Great Ox of Carnival, the Boeuf Gras, huh? That's one of them, right?
That was one of them. And the first Rex, Louis Solomon.
Yeah.
And
well, we're going to show you. Here we go.
Armstrong is
This
Zulu.
is the painting.
So that's the Great Ox of Carnival.
The Great Ox of Carnival, right. And we're kind of going a little bit chronologically here. But the Great Ox, but when you do a painting of that magnitude, my understanding, because you've shown me, you do a preliminary sketch.
I can assure you.
Yeah. But here's the sketch.
From the
I just
School
think
of
that's
Hard
really
Ox.
yeah.
Yes.
The School of that's good. That's very good.
See, there's the preparatory drawing, and if you notice, I squared it off so I could transfer it to the canvas. It's a technique that was used to
because that's quite a large painting.
But, you know, it's about 6 feet
Jeez.
5 feet by 4 feet by 6 feet.
All right. Wow.
And it depicts the first Rex parade. They went down Royal Street. And that's at the corner of where Madame John's legacy. You see Madame John's on that.
And then we're going to move on and show you what you just mentioned about the captain of Bacchus. I love this. There's Charlton Heston, because he was one of the Bacchae, right?
Yeah, he was. That was at the same time I was doing the paintings. And then they said, oh, you know, maybe you should do, could you have a smaller? And then I said, yeah, Charlton Heston, Ben-Hur, Moses.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Number one.
And here, look at this. This is number one.
See, that's the drawing
Look
for
at this, Poppy. Look at, isn't that
Beautiful.
fantastic?
Yeah.
So these are the drawings. So you have those drawings still. The paintings are at Pete's Pub in
Yeah,
St.
the
Charles.
paintings. Yeah, I kept the
first
drawings.
floor. The drawings that are available, aren't they?
Everything is available. Shoes.
We live in a capitalist society, you know? So we're just showing you a little bit of that, but those are still available, okay? And they're magnificent. Now, the other thing I'm excited about, though, is your latest painting, which is, tell us about that one, Father Seelos.
Yeah, there's a little chapel down the street from me on Jackson Avenue, where I'm in my apartment, and it's the building was in, I think, Lafayette number 2. It was used as a burial chapel, but it's the original St. Mary's Assumption from the day when the old days before the big edifices were built.
Well, let's see the painting first, which is inside St. Mary's.
So I said, well, how about do a picture of Father Seelos?
Look at this. This is fantastic.
That's him knocking on the door of a yellow fever
in the Irish Channel, huh? Now, tell me about the why. Tell me about the why. The why it's painted.
Yeah, back in the day when you had the yellow fever, they would, in the household, they would put a big Y on the door that would warn people it was yellow fever. My grandfather had yellow fever in the epidemic in the 1890s. He had it.
Well, very tragically, that kind of reminded me of the numbers and the X's during Katrina when they checked out, the National Guard had checked to see if anybody was still in the building and all that. Well, let me just point out that that chapel is open during the week for Mass, and so we've got, if you got to go see that painting, Sunday Mass 9 a.m. and Monday through Friday at 7:30. But it's a beautiful, beautiful painting.
Oh, thank
my
you,
gosh.
thank you.
And I know it was an honor, I think, of Mrs. Martin and some other folks who donated to that. It's in the back of the church. Now, you also do portraits, don't you?
Well, I've been known to.
You can, by commission, right? And so I think we have one of your early portraits, so we're going to show that too. And the folks are vaguely familiar. Let's see, Ginger and James Gay.
That's one of Patty Gay's children, James and Ginger.
Yeah, Miss Patty Gay, of course.
My studio.
Yeah, but I know you also do a lot of portraits too. That's my point here. And once again, here you are. You're on Julia. You're Mr. Julia Rowe, aren't you? No, you are. You've got your apron, the artist's apron, but you've also got your bow tie.
You got to look nice, you know.
You got to look nice.
I'm not just an artist. I'm a shopkeeper.
This is true. This is true. But there you go, 6/12. And so you keep your office hours, your studio hours, because your studio is right there.
Yeah.
Of course, Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And you're near you're between Camp and Julia, right?
Yeah, Camp and I'm on Julia Street between Camp and St. Charles.
I'm sorry, Camp and St. Charles, yeah. Well, congratulations for all your work. And we should say also, he, as we said earlier, is a musician. New Leviathan, Oriental.
Vaguely. I play the banjo.
And vocalist.
Yes, I want to call
what
it
is it? A banjo and guitar, but mostly banjo, huh?
No, I play the banjo. Johnny Parker plays the guitar.
Parker, okay. But New Leviathan, Oriental, Foxtrot Orchestra, and also from the 1970s, over 40 plus years ago.
Oh yeah, we started when I was in graduate school. There was the big ragtime revival. You know, that movie came out with Scott Joplin's score, and I was talking to some friends, Rick Mackey and Jack, and I said, why don't we organize a band that would play Oriental Foxtrots? Because my friend Justin Winston had done a program for the Jazz Club radio show, and it was called the Oriental Influence on Jazz Music. And you know, a lot of that stuff is like the Dixieland band recorded "Lena, the Queen of Palestina." You know, Lena is the Queen of Palestina.
Hence the early days.
Yes,
Thank
exactly.
you, George. Great. So much more to tell on that. You have to come on sometime and play for us if you don't mind.
Oh, no, you don't hear that. No.
Okay.
Plunk.
Got it. All right. Moving on. 19th century Carnival cruise began the tradition of giving away small presents or favors. In this WYES Carnival close-up, here are some examples. Hi, I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and here is a Carnival close-up. We're going to show you some special gifts that were given to ladies who were invited to the Rex Ball along with their admit card. So when someone knocked on their door, they brought the admit card to the ball as well as a tiny gift. Let me show you a few. This one's from 1901. It's a tiny box, perhaps bobby pins, or maybe even jewelry. This is 1903. A tiny little cup, of course emblazoned with Rex. In each piece, Rex, the word Rex appears somewhere. This is a bud vase, and of course that's 1905. And then we have 1908. This is the king himself, and this would be a jewelry tray. Most of these would be made of tin or some kind of lighter metal. But the big one, look at this, the king himself, 1910, a letter opener. Very, very cool. Anyway, just a few of the things throughout the years, they become very, very collectible. And I think they make great gifts, especially, I guess, if your birthday is around Mardi Gras, right? Another Carnival close-up. And thanks so much to Plush Appeal for their support of our Carnival close-ups. More online on our WYES YouTube channel, and look for brand new ones over the next few weeks. Alan.
Well, the last several weeks have been a bit of a blur with shows opening in advance of the biggest, heaviest part of the carnival season. You know, theater producers know it's really hard to compete with all the pageantry of the balls and the parades, especially when traffic is impeded or, you know, perhaps made impossible by street controls. But before we get to what's still on the boards, before the big shutdown, I wanted to acknowledge a show that I got to see last weekend, but which I hope many of you got to see while it was running in West Wego. I Love You, You're Perfect Now Change. It opened the very first week of the month, and I was out of town then, and only ran for 6 shows before it shut down in West Wego. The four-hander starred John Michael Haas, Rachel Looney, Nathan Parrish, and Katie Kitchen. And I was privileged to see the show when it transferred last weekend. It was the first time that Michelle Taylor Haas, who you see there on the left, had directed her husband, John Michael Haas. And again, many of you may remember he was Tony in West Side Story at JPA a few years back. And here's a photo I took of music director Justin Blanchard all the way on the left, along with the director, of course, Michelle, and all of the cast, all of whom did excellent ensemble work. Again, I Love You, Perfect Now Change was really great, and again, I hope that many of you got to see it. Really well done little show. Now, as I've already acknowledged, it's Carnival time, and it wouldn't be really a New Orleans celebration without the annual presentation of And the Ball and All, written by the great Ricky Graham and performed for now over 30 years. And again, the latest version of this classic tale of the crew of Terpsichore will run for the last time at Rivertown Theaters this weekend. With Gary Rucker moving to West Wego, it's a very good bet that Ricky will be crossing the Mississippi to mount more of his productions there. Next week, we'll talk about Murder Most Meemaw. That's going to be running at the end of next month. But for those of you who have to get your slice of Ricky Graham, King of Comedy Cake, And the Ball and All is running this weekend. Call ahead and make sure you can still get some tickets. Now, the next national tour to play at the Sanger will be arriving here on Tuesday, and it's Water for Elephants. If you can see my pin, Water for Elephants is based on a successful novel about a doctor who reflects on his earlier life when he ran away to become part of a circus troupe during the Depression. There's puppetry. You look at that. It's amazing. That's a puppet right there. Acrobatics, a number of really cool effects, but the story really is about finding purpose and love. The music score is effective in advancing the characters, but not necessarily what I would call memorable songs. The story was much more compelling to me when it was on Broadway when I saw it. So go check that out again. Water for Elephants National Tour opens on Tuesday, February the 3rd, and runs all the way till the next Sunday at the Sanger. On a smaller scale, David Simons and Bremner Duthie are bringing back the Breakfast. This is Breakfast 7. It's the first time since 2019 that they're bringing back another 7 times they've had it, along with Harry Marone. They'll be leading a tour of a troupe of actors and performers who honor the poet and playwright Bertolt Brecht, who, of course, famously collaborated with Kurt Weill with the Threepenny Opera, Happy End, and The Rise and Fall of the City of Mahagoni. The only way to get tickets is through their website. They cost $30 for each of the 2 nights, February 3rd and 4th. And speaking of Harry Marone, we need to mention that he will be busy right after Mardi Gras with the wonderful tribute to the service industry that used to be called the Black and White Blues, now called Waiting Around the Restaurant Musical.
Great.
The show's going to be performed at Rivertown in the Lanyap Theater, and it runs for 2 weekends at the end of February. I want to let you all know about it now because we're going to be off a couple of weeks coming up. And again, that's at the Lanyap Theater, the Rivertown Theaters of Performing Arts. This show famously traveled over to the East Coast and went up to New York. So again, it's got some legs, and Harry Marone is now helming it. And again, I recommend it very highly. Kudos to Ricky Graham for all that he does.
Really. God bless them both, huh?
Yes.
Really. And time for picks. I will begin. Once again, designer Mion Faget's new Float Blooms party wrap is made locally and actually has wire in it. You can use it as a headpiece, or I don't think I will do that, but you can use it around your neck, which I like to do. And this is at Faget stores or online within a day or two. It's amazing. MionFaget.com. Immediately following our Thursday tonight's broadcast of our show is our annual Carnival Time special with Alan Laborde and Arthur Hardy, those historians, and it's also repeated Saturday at 5:30 and at other times. Go to WYES.org/Mardi Gras for a full schedule of all of our Mardi Gras related programs, and there are many. This wire sculpture called Bongo Man is by New Orleans-born artist Haywood Oob. A retrospective opens Friday at the New Orleans Museum of Art and will be up through May the 3rd. NOMA.org for news of related exhibits and events connected to that exhibit. Grammy winner and Metropolitan Opera star Victoria Livengood will serve as judge for this weekend's Metropolitan Opera La Font competition. It's the weekend. On Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., there's the New Orleans District competition on at Roussel Hall at Loyola. Free admission. See the future opera stars. Then on Sunday, there's the Gulf Region competition from 1 to 6. $15 admission to general public, students and faculty free. Go to AmiciSings.org for details. This great volunteer group, they organize the competition and they give cash prizes and assistance if needed to help the winner, to whoever wins, to compete at the finals in New York. Wow, so kind. More picks. Poppy.
Gree on Magazine Street is back this year with their King Cake Daiquiri. This is our King Cake nod this week. It's a brioche-infused spiced rum with Gambino's rum cream, amaretto, and soft-serve vanilla ice cream. You can get it by the glass or you can get it by the half gallon.
Half gallon? Ooh, dangerous, huh?
Yeah.
Alan.
Sounds like something to go in a cone, though. Well, I'm glad you mentioned Grammy winners because the New Orleans Opera Festival is getting ready to unveil their very first opera festival that will include, of course, the Dialogues of the Carmelites being performed at the Ursuline Convent in March. But before that, they're going to move into the world of contemporary opera when they produce Grammy Award winner Terence Blanchard's Fire Shut Up in My Bones. That's an opera by our own native son, Terence Blanchard. And he, of course, was the very first black composer to have an opera presented at the Metropolitan Opera. I would recommend this very highly. Go check it out Sunday, February the 22nd at the Civic Theater, and I'll see you at the theater.
All right, I have just a few more picks. The Piety Art Market is in the carnival mode on Sunday from noon to 4 with DJ John Deal spinning some records there. Also, there are non-carnival items, including succulents. I have some, and they're at the Hotel Peter and Paul. Look at that. Oh, so dear. Some of the wonderful crowns getting ready for carnival here. And wait till you see the succulents. Those are so beautiful. And that wonderful couple actually makes a lot of the receptacles that they put the succulents in, the little cacti in. Very, very nicely done. And if you haven't been to that space, the Hotel Peter and Paul, of course, it used to be a church, and it's a wonderful facility really enjoy that particular piety market. And moving on to author Julian Sancton will sign his latest book, Neptune's Fortune, on Tuesday at 6 p.m. at Octavia Books on Octavia Street near Laurel. It's the true story of a legendary Spanish galleon that sunk off the coast of Colombia with over $1 billion in gold and silver, and one man's obsessive quest to find it. OctaviaBooks.com. Sancton, by the way, will be interviewed by Steve Garbarino. And the popular 80s rock band The Models is having a reunion at Jimmy's Nightclub, Uptown, on February the 7th. Johnny Indovina and Kristen Surpass, former members, will be performing. That band eventually became known as Human Drama. They changed their names, you know. And just very quickly, looking ahead to the Crew of Muses, I have some throws, and they're Thursday, February 12th at 6:30 on the Uptown route on St. Charles, of course, crewofmuses.org. But let me show you some of these. This is so cool. Of course, the shoe. We've got it. That's the signature, right? But they're really into some sustainable stuff too, including wonderful cocktail napkins and Post-its. Loving that. Thursday, February 12th, 6:30. And that's the triple header night, right? It too.
Peggy, what does it say on that cocktail napkin?
Oh, yes, thank you. Glitter, and I would agree with this, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Glitter is good for the soul.
S-O-L-E.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks for watching. Good night. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Steppin Out is made possible in part by Susie and Pierre G. Villery.
From jazz to jambalaya, theater to galleries.
Steppin Out brings you the best of our local arts and culture scene each week.
Let's step up and step out. Together, keeping WYES strong.
Support for this program comes from the Gail and Tom Benson Charitable Foundation, committed to funding educational causes. Criollo Restaurant offers a culinary adventure prepared by a tiny animated French chef. A 5-course dinner experience comes to life at each place setting using projection mapping. Located in the historic Hotel Monteleone. Learn more at criollonola.com.
This program is supported in part by a community arts grant made possible by the City of New Orleans as administered by Arts New Orleans.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
Independent, locally owned New Orleans bookstore, Octavia Books, offers author events, book signings, and hand-picked titles for all ages. OctaviaBooks.com.